You ever get that gut feeling about someone, the one that whispers, something's not right here? Maybe they're too friendly, too nosy, or always lurking just a little too close. Well, let me tell you, some neighbors can bring more trouble than a broken fence and a barking dog combined. I learned this the hard way. What started as friendly waves turned into drama, manipulation, and stress I never signed up for. So today we're talking about 5 neighbors smart women avoid before it's too late. 1. The nosy Parker who's always watching ever. Feel like you're living in a reality show you never signed up for. Like every time you step outside to check the mail or water your plants, someone is lurking behind their curtains, watching your every move. Well, meet the nosy Parker, the neighbor who thinks your life is her personal soap opera. She knows everything. Who visits you, what packages you receive, how long you've been gone, and even what time you turn off your lights at night. And if she doesn't know, she'll find out. I had one of these delightful neighbors once. She seemed friendly at first, always waving, always smiling. I thought, oh, how nice to have a neighbor who's so interested in my well-being. But then she started casually dropping details about my life that I had never shared with her. Oh, I saw your niece stop by yesterday. What did she bring you? You were up late last night. Trouble sleeping? Excuse me? At first I told myself I was just imagining things. Maybe she just happened to see. But then one day, she mentioned that she noticed I hadn't taken out my trash the week before. Now, ma'am, why are you tracking my garbage schedule? That's when it hit me. This wasn't just a friendly, curious neighbor. This was surveillance. And the real danger, nosy Parkers don't just collect information, they distribute it. Your private life quickly becomes neighborhood gossip. One day, I overheard her chatting with another neighbor about someone down the street. Oh, did you hear? She had a visitor the other night, and they didn't leave until 11 p.m. That's when I knew I needed to shut this down. Here's the thing about nosy Parkers, they don't think they're doing anything wrong. They see themselves as involved or concerned, when really, they're just intrusive. And trust me, if someone gossips to you, they gossip about you. So here's the trick. Keep it light, keep it vague. When she asks questions, laugh it off, give short answers, and change the subject. If she says, "Where were you off to yesterday?" respond with, "Oh, just out and about." No details, no stories, just enough to satisfy, but not enough to fuel the rumor mill. And if she really starts prying, flip the script, ask her something personal, something unexpected. "Oh, enough about me. How's your cholesterol these days?" Trust me, nosy Parkers love to observe, but they hate being observed. And if all else fails, invest in good curtains, a solid poker face, and if necessary, a well-placed decoy trash bag to keep her busy. 2. The complainer who turns everything into a problem. The complainer. The neighbor who treats life like a never-ending customer service dispute. The sky is too cloudy. The birds are too loud. The wind is too windy. And don't even think about accidentally stepping 1 inch onto their property, because suddenly you're being treated like a trespasser in a high-stakes legal battle. At first, I tried to be understanding. Oh, maybe she just likes things a certain way. But then I realized, nothing made her happy. Ever. One day she knocked on my door, looking absolutely outraged. I braced myself, thinking maybe something serious had happened. But no, the emergency, a single leaf from my tree had dared to land on her driveway. Another time, she wanted me to call the city because our sidewalk was dangerously uneven. I took a look, expecting a massive crack or a gaping hole, but nope, it was the tiniest shift in the pavement. You know, the kind of thing normal people wouldn't even notice, let alone declare a public hazard. Then there was the grand event, the great garbage can incident. One morning, I wheeled my trash bin to the curb like I always did, but apparently I had placed it 1 inch closer to her side of the property than usual. That was all it took. She was at my door within minutes. You know, I hate to say something, but your trash bin is practically on my property. I hope this doesn't become a habit. A habit, lady, it's a garbage can, not a permanent structure. And here's the thing, people like this don't just complain. They want you to join in. They want you to be just as miserable as they are. Every conversation is an invitation to get sucked into their negativity. I found myself avoiding my own front yard, just so I wouldn't have to listen to another rant about how the mailman parks slightly differently each day. And that's when I knew I needed an exit strategy. So here's what works: the gray rock method. You respond with the enthusiasm of a rock, bland, neutral, and uninteresting. If she complains about the weather, yep, that's weather for you. If she gripes about the neighbors, oh, I hadn't noticed. If she rants about the placement of your trash bin, oh, trust me, nothing frustrates a complainer more than someone who refuses to engage in their misery. And if you ever slip up and accidentally show interest, brace yourself, because the moment she thinks she's found a willing audience, you will never know peace again. 3. The moocher who always forgets their wallet. Ah, the moocher. That one neighbor who seems so charming and harmless at first, always friendly, always smiling, until you start noticing a pattern. They take, and somehow they never give. It usually starts small. A cup of sugar here, a stick of butter there. Oh, I ran out of milk, do you have some to spare? I forgot to grab bread at the store, do you have an extra loaf? And because you're a kind, decent person, you help. But then suddenly it's not so small anymore. One day, it's a ride to the store. The next, it's borrowing money, just until payday. And before you know it, they're treating you like their personal resource center. I had a neighbor like this once. At first, I didn't think much of it, just little favors here and there. Then one day, we went for coffee. And wouldn't you know it, she forgot her wallet. I thought, okay, no big deal. It happens. But then the next time we went out, same thing. Then it was, oh, my car's acting up. Can you drive me to the store? Just this once, of course. But somehow just this once turned into every time. Before I knew it, she was borrowing my garden tools, my ladder, my time, my patience. And the worst part, she never returned the favor, never offered to drive me anywhere, never paid back the coffee, never even said thank you. Just more taking, more asking, more excuses. And here's the real danger. Moochers aren't just financially draining, they're emotionally draining too. They have a way of guilt-tripping you into saying yes. Oh, I just don't know what I'd do without you. You're just such a kind person. I knew I could count on you. At first it feels flattering, but then it starts to feel manipulative. Because let's be real, a favor here and there is normal. But if you always feel like you're being used, that's a problem. So what do? You say no, without guilt. Not, oh, I don't think I can. Not, maybe another time. No vague excuses. Because let me tell you, moochers love loopholes. If you leave the door even a little bit open, they'll shove their whole foot in. So the next time they come knocking, try this: oh, I don't lend money. I'm not able to do that. I'm just not comfortable with that arrangement. And then stop talking. No explanations. No justifications. Just a firm boundary. And trust me, once a moocher realizes you're not an easy target, they'll magically find someone else to latch onto. And you get your time, energy, and peace of mind back. 4. The drama queen who lives for chaos. Have you ever met someone who just can't function without a crisis? If there's no drama happening, they'll create it. It's like they wake up every morning thinking, how can I turn the smallest issue into a full-blown soap opera today? One minute they're best friends with a neighbor, practically inseparable, bringing cookies, trading recipes, chatting in the driveway like long-lost sisters. And the next, they're sworn enemies, all over something trivial, maybe a misplaced trash can, or a misinterpreted comment. Suddenly, the entire neighborhood knows there's a betrayal in the air, and you can feel the tension like you just walked into a live episode of Desperate Housewives Retirement Edition. I had a neighbor like this once, and let me tell you, it was exhausting just living near her. One day she was showering the lady across the street with compliments, dropping off baked goods, calling her the sweetest soul she'd ever met. The next day, She was on my porch whispering about how that same woman was fake and not to be trusted. It didn't stop there. Every single person on the block had, at some point, been the target of her behind-the-scenes gossip. And worst of all, she tried to drag me into it. At first, I made the mistake of listening. Not agreeing, just listening. But here's the thing about drama queens. They don't need you to contribute. Your silence is enough. The moment you hear their nonsense, they assume you're part of it. Before I knew it, my name was getting thrown into her little neighborhood saga, and people were giving me side eyes for things I never even said. Lesson learned: stay out of it. Drama queens love an audience. If you listen, react, or engage, you're feeding their need for attention. They don't want peace, they want chaos. So I made a decision. I pulled back. No more reacting, no more engaging, no more "oh really, that's interesting" responses. The moment she started in on someone, I changed the subject. "Oh, I haven't heard about that, but have you seen the weather? Gorgeous today, huh?" I became the most boring conversation partner she'd ever had. And guess what? She moved on. She found someone else to stir the pot with. Because drama queens only thrive when they have an audience. No audience, no show. So if you have one of these living next door, keep your distance, refuse to pick sides, don't let them pull you into their mess. And most importantly, never eat the cookies. They come with a side of chaos. 5. The overly friendly one who's just a bit too close now. Don't get me wrong. I love a friendly neighbor, a warm smile, a kind word, a little small talk while watering the plants. Lovely. It makes a neighborhood feel like home. But then, there's the overly friendly type, the one who doesn't understand boundaries, the one who seems to have a sixth sense for when you're home, and somehow always shows up at the worst possible moment. I had one of these once. At first, I thought she was just a good-natured social butterfly. She'd wave at me every time I stepped outside, and I'd wave back thinking, "Oh, how nice. Neighborly charm isn't dead." But then, the visits started. Unannounced, uninvited, and at the worst possible times. One morning, I was in my robe, hair looking like I'd just wrestled with a windstorm, barely one sip into my coffee, and ding-dong, there she was, grinning on my porch like we had a scheduled meeting. "Oh, I saw your curtains move. Figured you were up." Ma'am, that was my cat. And let me tell you, that should have been my warning sign. But no, I let it slide. Until one day, I noticed something strange. Every time I checked my mail, she was suddenly outside, watering her plants. Every time I ran to the store, she happened to be heading out too. And the moment I pulled into my driveway, there she was, walking up, ready for a chat. Now, I'm not saying she was stalking me, but let's just say if there was a neighborhood version of a tracking device, she had mastered it. It got to the point where I started strategizing my movements like I was planning a prison break. I'd peek out the window like a detective, making sure the coast was clear before daring to step outside. And if I made the mistake of answering the door, oh, she'd settle in like she was a guest on a talk show. I tried subtle hints. "Well, I've got a lot to do today." Didn't work. I tried giving shorter responses. Yep, nice weather. All right, gotta go. Nope. And if I ever tried to gently excuse myself, she'd pull out the ultimate weapon, the wounded look, the one that silently accused me of being cold, unfriendly, heartless. And here's where it gets tricky, because she wasn't mean, rude, or outright problematic. She was just too much, too present, too involved, and too unaware that I didn't always want company. Now, if you're reading this and thinking, well, what's the harm in a little company? Let me tell you. The problem is, when people don't respect small boundaries, they won't respect big ones either. So, I had to set the rules. If she showed up unannounced, I stopped answering the door. If she lingered too long, I'd walk her to the driveway and say, "It's been lovely, but I've got things to take care of." And if that didn't work, well, let's just say I suddenly got very invested in my pretend phone calls every time I stepped outside. Because here's the truth, being friendly is wonderful, but your home is still your home, and if someone isn't respecting your space, that's what peepholes, locked doors, and very well placed curtains are for. At this stage in life, your home should be your sanctuary, not a source of stress. The best neighbors, they respect your space, your time, and your peace. So tell me, have you ever had a nightmare neighbor? Share your stories in the comments. I'd love to hear. And if you love keeping your space drama-free and full of peace, hit that subscribe button. Because smart women, we don't just survive, we thrive.